Italian naval assets have played a pivotal role. Italian warships are often seen in the port of Lagos. I personally visited several of them during my tenure here. Approximately every 3 months there is one, and they have patrolled the region, conduct joint exercise with local navies, including the Nigerian navies, and responded to incidents of maritime crime. And this has contributed to significantly reduce the threat of piracy in the region. Not only providing direct security benefits, but have also helping to strengthen mutual trust and interoperability with regional partners. Second, Italy has invested in capacity building and training through bilateral agreements and EU missions like UCAP Sahel. Italy supports training program for maritime law enforcement, Coast Guard personnel, and judicial actors. And also in this very moment, as I speak, there is actually 18 officers from several police forces of Nigeria, including 6 from the immigration service, that are in Italy for a training about forensic and crime scene investigation. Italian expertise in maritime law, surveillance, technologies, and port security has been shared with West African nations, enhancing their ability to monitor and protect their maritime domains independently. Third, Italy is commitment not purely military, but also in development cooperation, and recently, last year, launched an ambitious initiative, the so-called Mattei Plan for Africa, named after Enrico Mattei, an energy pioneer that inspired a new way of partnership between countries. And so we are deeply engaged with African countries and hopefully also with Nigerian more and more to identify initiatives that can contribute to develop our economic cooperation and also to promote welfare in all the member countries. Furthermore, Italy emphasizes multilateralism and cooperation and actively supports the implementation of the Yaoundé Architecture for Maritime Security, the regional framework established by ECOWAS, ECAS, and the Gulf of Guinea Commissions. And let me conclude that Italy stands as a reliable partner to all West African nations in the pursuit of the maritime security and sustainable development. And our engagement is not guided only by strategic interest, but by shared values, peace, stability, and the rule of law. And I hope that we will continue to build bridges across continents and sea, ensuring that the waters of West Africa remain safe, prosperous, and open for all. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, His Excellency, for that beautiful speech. Just as the consul is making his speech, the IGP, blessed with his presence, Dr. Kayode Egbetokun, the nation's top police officer, is right here in our midst. And also the managing director. A round of applause, please. And also in our midst is the managing director, Lagos State Waterways Authority, LASWA, Mr. Damilola Emmanuel. Next on the list of speakers is Mr. Rocco Messina. Mr. Rocco Messina is of the United Nations Office of Counterterrorism. As a matter of fact, he is the head of Border Security and Management Program of UN. Please, you can come for your speech.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, esteemed colleagues and partners, of course it's an honor to welcome you all in this timely and crucial workshop on maritime security in the context of counterterrorism in the Gulf of Guinea, co-organized by the United Nations Office of Counterterrorism through this United Nations Counterterrorism Center, and of course the great support of Nigeria Immigration Service. We thank the government of Nigeria for its unwavering support and hosting of this gathering in Lagos, in the heart of one of the region's most dynamic maritime hubs. I want to extend my thanks also to the Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs, which provide great support to my program, or the security management program, and of course also for the financial resource for organizing this event. This workshop convenes as a moment of growing recognition that the threats we face in the maritime domain are interconnected and increasingly complex. In the Gulf of Guinea, the broader Western Africa region, terrorism, piracy, organized crime, and trafficking are becoming more intertwined. The sea, once seen primarily as a channel of commerce and economic opportunity, has become a domain vulnerable to exploitation by terrorist networks and criminal syndicates alike. At this very moment in New York, the United Nations Security Council is addressing the growing threat to maritime security and emphasizing the necessity for international cooperation to counter them. It will highlight also the various challenges, including attack on international shipping, piracy, transnational organized crime, and the emerging risk posed by exploiting new technologies. This disruption not only affects global trade, but also trade and economic stability, food and energy security, and the safety of maritime infrastructure. The Security Council has expressed concern about these issues and emphasized the importance of maritime security in maintaining global peace. It underscores the needs of states to enhance maritime domain awareness, improve risk management measures, and foster multidimensional responses to address these diverse threats. It also emphasized the importance of adhering to existing legal framework and advocates for improved coordination among states, international organizations, and also the private sector. Also, it's acknowledging several resolutions, including the landmark resolution 2634, that maritime insecurity and terrorism are no longer separate challenges. Extremist groups such as Boko Haram and Islamic State in West African province have demonstrated the capability and intent to project their reach towards coastal zones and offshore infrastructure. They exploit maritime routes for mobility, financing, and the movement of arms and personnel. Terrorists and traffickers alike benefit from porous maritime border, limited state presence at sea, and gaps in legal enforcement. Challenges that this workshop is specifically designed to address. The Gulf of Guinea has long been a global hotspot for maritime piracy and armed robbery, but the evolution of these threats into more complex networks that support finance or enable terrorism mark a disturbing shift. Ransom payment for hijacking, trafficking in oil and arms, and the use of informal maritime routes to avoid detection are increasingly contributing to terrorist financing and logistics. The nexus between terrorism and organized maritime crime is not just a theoretical concern. It is a reality playing out along this coastline. At the same time, illegal fishing, human trafficking, and oil theft further destabilize coastal community and erode the rule of law, often creating an environment in which terrorists and criminal actors can operate more freely. This convergence of illicit activities calls for a response that is equally integrated. In response, we must adapt to our counterterrorism strategy to account for the maritime domain. Traditional land-based counterterrorism efforts are no longer sufficient. The sea must be treated as an equally vital operational theater where surveillance, interdiction, and border management capabilities are urgently needed. This is why we are here today. Over the next 3 days, this workshop will serve as a platform to address the current maritime terrorist threat and identify existing vulnerability, examine how existing legal and policy frameworks at national and regional levels can be strengthened to address maritime terrorism more effectively, leveraging the use of new technologies to mitigate the exploitation of the maritime domain by terrorist groups to move personnel, weapons, and resources across borders undetected. supporting the national authorities in sharing good practices and supporting their effort on strengthening port security, upgrades coastal community policing, and joint naval patrols. Most importantly, gathers international perspective that will directly contribute to updating the compendium of good practices for maritime border management in the context of counterterrorism that was launched in 2021 by my program. And one updated with the insight of the Western and Central African States member. This compendium will serve not only as a policy reference, but also as a practical tool for national authorities seeking to fortify the maritime border against terrorist threats. The idea is to have a Pan-African document compendium that will support all the 40,000 kilometers of coastal line of this continent. It is important to note that many of the elements we will discuss, from early warning system and maritime awareness to the security of port and offshore infrastructure, require deep and sustained regional cooperation. No single country can address this threat alone, regardless of its capabilities. This is why frameworks such as the Under Code of Conduct, the ECOWAS and the Gulf of Guinea Integrated Maritime Strategy, as well as the Abuja Declaration, are all vital documents. They provide a structure for information sharing, legal harmonization, and joint operation, underscoring our collective responsibility in addressing these threats. Moreover, we recognize that effective counterterrorism in the maritime domain also requires all of the government, all of society approaches. Immigration authorities, navies, coastal guard, port authorities, custom officials, and intelligence agencies all have a role to play, as do the communities along the coastlines, who are often the first to observe suspicious activity. Building trust and resilience at the local level must be part of our strategy. The United Nations, through the United Nations Office of Counterterrorism, remains committed to supporting member states in addressing this evolving threat landscape. We aim to strengthen national and regional resilience in the maritime space through capacity building, technical assistance, and promoting cross-border cooperation. Hopefully also with the help of Italy, they will continue to support my successful program. In closing, I encourage you to contribute actively and truthfully throughout this workshop. Share your challenges, your success, and your ideas. The fight against maritime terrorism in the Gulf of Guinea demands nothing less than a unified, informed, and innovative response, which can only be achieved through open and honest discussion. Let us use this opportunity to strengthen security and safeguard the region's future, one anchored in peace, the rule of law, and sustainable maritime development. Altogether, we can significantly enhance maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rocco Messina, for that beautiful speech. Before I come on the next speaker, I've just been informed that the representatives of DG of Department of State Services is here. So you are welcome, sir. At this point, it's my honor and privilege to call upon the Comptroller General of Nigerian Mission Service, Kemi Nana Nandab, PCC, MMIS, FSMN, for her speech. A round of applause, please.
His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Lagos State, ably represented by the Chief of Staff, Mr. Tayo Akimade Aide, the Honorable Minister of Interior, our own visionary leader, Honorable Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, the Honorable Chairman, Senate Committee on Interior, Dr. Adams Oshimole, the Honorable Chairman, House Committee on Interior, the Honorable Senate, Chairman Senate Committee on Interior, that's Mr. Adams Oshimole. Then the Honorable Chairman, House Committee on Interior, Mr. Abdullahi Aliyu Ahmed. Also the representatives of the Chairman, Senate Committee on Navy. Thank you for coming. the representative of the Chief of Naval Staff. Also, we have in our midst the Inspector General of Police, Dr. Kayode Egbetokun. Thank you for coming, sir. The Controller General of Nigerian Customs Service. Thank you for coming. Adualia Adeni, thank you for coming. The representative of the DG, DSS. Also, we have in our midst the Director General, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. We have a representative from them. We also have a representative from the Managing Director, Nigerian Ports Authority. We have a representative from the Nigerian Shippers Council, the Consular General of the Consulate of Italy in Nigeria here. You're welcome. Thank you for coming. All our participants here this morning, thank you all for coming. The Head of Border Security Management, Mr. Rocco. It's good to see you again. Thank you for coming. And all senior officers here present, and the member of the press, of course, a very good morning to you all. It is both an honor and a privilege to welcome you all on behalf of the Nigerian Immigration Service to this critical workshop on maritime security in the context of counterterrorism in the Gulf of Guinea. We are proud to co-host this initiative with the United Nations Counterterrorism Center, and we are deeply grateful for the shared commitment to enhancing maritime security in our region. As the Controller General of Nigerian Immigration Service, I am proud to lead an organization that has been at the forefront of securing our nation's borders and contributing to regional security efforts. The Gulf of Guinea is one of the most strategic maritime corridors in the world. It is rich in resources, it is teeming with trade, and it is central to the livelihoods of millions. Yet, it is also a region increasingly threatened by criminality, extremisms, and transnational terrorism. These threats do not respect borders. They exploit weak links, they transverse coastlines, and they undermine our collective stability. Today, we stand at a critical juncture where maritime insecurity can no longer be viewed through the narrow lens of piracy or smuggling alone. The reality is far more complex. Terrorist groups are adapting. They are moving men, they are moving arms, money, and materials through our waters. They are leveraging organized criminal networks, and they are taking advantage of governance gaps. What was once seen as an isolated incident of violence on land is now rippling into our seas. It is posing grave challenges for national and regional security. As the lead agency responsible for managing the movement of persons across Nigeria's borders, the Nigerian Immigration Service understands the nexus between terrorism and maritime insecurity. From the illegal movement of foreign terrorist fighters to human trafficking, to irregular migration, and the infiltration of our maritime borders, these threats demand a new level of vigilance. It demands innovation. It requires regional coordination. This workshop represents a timely and strategic step forward. Over the next 3 days, we will have the opportunity to pool our insights, to harmonize our experience, and to enrich the compendium of good practices for maritime border management in the context of counterterrorism. But beyond the documentation of good practices, we must also grapple with some hard truths. Firstly, that many of our national maritime strategies still lack robust provisions on terrorist movements across maritime borders. Those gaps in surveillance, data sharing, and port security continue to hinder early warning signs and detection. Secondly, that community engagement along coastal areas still remains underutilized in identifying and disrupting extremists' networks. We must therefore move from coordination to integration, from fragmented efforts to a coherent regional approach that unites immigration services, the Navy, the customs, intelligence agencies, so that we have a seamless security architecture. For Nigeria, we have begun this journey. The Nigerian Immigration Service is working hard to harmonize and modernize its border management infrastructure and to deploy maritime domain awareness tools, and also to expand interagency collaboration. But we know this is not a journey that we can walk alone. Regional solidarity and international support must remain indispensable. We therefore call for deeper intelligence sharing across borders and across domains. We call for stronger legal frameworks that criminalizes maritime terrorism in all its forms. We call for capacity building, equip frontline officers with the tools to act decisively and lawfully. And above all, the political will to uphold international obligations even in the face of domestic constraints. Let us be clear. Ensuring maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea is not just a matter of safeguarding ships and ports. It is a matter of protecting sovereignty of national borders, defending human lives, and securing the economic futures of our nations. The seas connect us, but they also expose us. Therefore, our response must be connected, informed, and resilient. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I urge us all to approach this workshop with the urgency and seriousness it deserves. Let us listen, learn, and lead. Let this gathering be remembered not only for its dialogue, but for the actions it catalyzes. For in the era where threats to our maritime domain are as fluid as the waters themselves, only firm and collective resolve will keep us afloat. I thank you all for coming, and I thank you for listening.
Please, another round of applause for our Honorable Comptroller General of Immigration. That's the #1 immigration officer in the land. And as the CGI rightly emphasized, the Nigerian Immigration Service is fully primed to ensure the safety of our borders, especially in the maritime areas. Now, from one #1 to another, for his remarks, please allow me to kindly welcome the Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service in person of CGC Bashir Adewale Adeniyi, MFR.
There are 3 CGs here, actually. One has spoken, one is speaking now. The third one is not in uniform. It's from the Italian consulate. Consul General is also CG. Your Excellency, the representative of the Governor of Lagos State, represented by the Chief of Staff, my brother Tayo Ainde. Your Excellency, the Chairman of the Senate Committee on Interior, Comrade Adam Oshomole, and permit me to use him as point of reference for all other distinguished parliamentarians here present, the Visionary Minister of Interior, and all other senior government officials here present, the IG, Inspector General of Police, representative of other heads of government agencies here present, my colleagues from other African and West African countries participating, development partners here present, gentlemen of the press. It gives me pleasure to be here to make this remark commemorating this important workshop. I'd just like to start off from where the CGI ended. She identified critical areas where these workshops should be focused on. And I'm very happy that she actually landed on the need to deepen cooperation and collaboration between all the other agencies. I also agree with her that it's important that we maintain a credible database of all terrorists and ensure that we engage our communities around the maritime domain. What I would like to add is born out of similar experiences that we've had in the community, the global community of customs under the auspices of the World Customs Organization. It's so pleasing for me to see Mr. Vincent Njembi from the Customs Administration of Cameroon. I think apart from me, it looks like he's the only other customs officer inside this hall. Vincent, please stand up to be recognized. I didn't hear you being introduced during the introduction. Vincent, please sit down. Vincent was the Regional Development Manager for the West and Central African unit of the WCO. And that was the unit in WCO that coordinates the response and the activities of customs administrations roughly around the Gulf of Guinea that looks after issues about maritime security, security around the Sahel, customs modernization, and all of that. And what we have always emphasized is the fact that just like the CGI said, the sea exposes all of us. The Sahel also does. So we have all of these security challenges, coming to us from different places. And so we need to be more dynamic in our approach. We need to be coordinated. We need to have a coordinated response to some of these security threats. Permit me to add two major facts to what she has enumerated. All the terrorists that are operating along our shores are driven by narcotics. There is the element of drugs that is in this mix. I have seen the program for today. I've seen the one for tomorrow. I understand the importance of sharing intelligence, having a legislative framework. But somewhere along the line, we have to add the use and the access and the control of narcotics to our conversations. The second, and possibly more important, is that terrorists around this place leverage the gaps in our financial systems to ensure that they launder illegal monies and resources to fund their operations. It could come in different ways. Some of them get involved in mining, some of them in kidnapping, some of them illegal trafficking of human beings. But the most important thing is that we have to understand how they use the financial system to fund their activities. So terrorism financing is also very, very important, and I believe that we must find a way within these workshops or in similar engagements in the future to add this to the conversation. For those that are familiar with what has been happening in Nigeria in the last 2 years, there is a quiet revolution that we are witnessing in the interior sector, which is championed by the Honorable Minister of Interior. The initiatives that we've had in passports, in the deployment of technology and all of that in managing our borders. Charity, they say, begins at home. He has led the charge at home. and as he's leading this charge beyond the borders of Nigeria, providing a rallying force for all the stakeholders, other stakeholders within the Gulf of Guinea. I don't have any doubt in my mind that we are going to have, under his guidance, the same positive results that we've had at home. And on that note, that optimistic note, I want to welcome all our participants, particularly those from outside Nigeria, and possibly those who are visiting Nigeria for the first time. If you have visited so many other African countries and you have not been to Nigeria, I don't think you have visited anywhere. Welcome to Niger. Thank you.
Please, another rounding applause for our Comptroller General of Customs for that wonderful speech. Thank you very much, sir. The Nigerian Immigration Service and the Nigerian Customs Service, they've always been partners in national security. So joining forces to tackle this menace of maritime border will obviously not be different. Now, speaking of partnerships and collaborations, please allow me to welcome our next speaker in the person of the Inspector General of Police. He is IGP Kayode Ibetokun. You're welcome, sir.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, ably represented by the Chief of Staff, Mr. Tayo Akimade Anyede. Your Excellency, the Senate Committee Chairman on Interior, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, the former Governor of Edo State, when I was Commander Mopo 5 Benin. It's good to see you again, sir. Your Excellency, the Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, our host, the Controller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Mrs. Kemi Nana Nadap, the Chairman, House Committee on Interior, Honorable Abdullahi. You are welcome, sir. The Controller General of the Nigerian Customs Services, my brother Wale Adeneye. Thank you for your beautiful presentation. International development partners who are here present, distinguished participants at this conference, the representatives of the Nigerian Navy, and the rep of the DGDSS, you are all welcome. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, maritime insecurity is not just a threat to shipping lanes. It's a mirror of regional vulnerability and a test of our collective resolve. It's my honor to be here today to bring greetings and good wishes to this conference on maritime border security in the context of counterterrorism in the Gulf of Guinea. I want to start by thanking the Controller General of Nigeria Immigration for extending invitation to me, the guest of honor at the opening ceremony of this conference. I also want to commend the strategic vision behind organizing this regional workshop, which brings together experts and stakeholders to discuss ways of addressing maritime border security challenges. The Nigeria Police recognizes the complex and evolving nature of transnational organized crimes, including terrorism, piracy, illicit trafficking, and other asymmetric threats that has continued to threaten maritime stability. These threats demand more than just conventional responses. they require coordinated, intelligence-driven and technology-enabled strategies. The Gulf of Guinea, as a critical maritime corridor connecting several nations, must be protected through effective surveillance, robust intelligence mechanisms, enhanced interagency collaborations, and deepened international cooperation. Its vulnerability to exploitation by non-state actors, including terrorism networks, compels unified action. In this regard, the Nigerian Police Force remains committed to working collaboratively with the Nigerian Immigration Service, the Nigerian Customs, and other relevant national and international agencies. This will help us to secure our maritime frontier and deter cross-border criminal activities. As this conference commences, I want to urge all participants at this conference to engage fully and utilize this opportunity to develop actionable frameworks that will strengthen operational partnerships and build trust across borders. The Nigerian Police Force stands ready to adapt, and operationalize the outcomes of this conference. I wish you all impactful engagement as we look forward to the success of this conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the IGP for those insightful comments. Very much appreciated. Now, speaking of insights and insightful, it's safe to say that our next speaker is very, very insightful. So he's a seasoned administrator over the years. He's been the governor of Edo State. He's currently the chairman of the State Senate Committee on Interior. It is my privilege to welcome on stage the next speaker in person of Dr. Adams Oshomole, the Senate Committee Chairman on Interior. You're welcome, sir.
His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, and my very dear friend, Comrade Sanwo-Olu, very ably represented by a man who made the governor look even shorter, the Chief of Staff, the Honorable Minister of Interior, my very dear friend, Tuji Ojo, my colleague in the House of Representatives, the chairman of House Committee on Interior, and all the generals. In fact, I was going to incite the IG against the Controller General of Customs because he said there were 3 generals in the House. The CJ Immigration, the CJ Italian, Consul General, and then he forgot the General of all generals, the Inspector General of Police. So I was going to cause some trouble, but I can't see him anymore. But let me acknowledge our chief host, the Controller General of Immigration Service, Nana Nadap, and the Controller General of Nigeria Customs Service. I was very excited to hear several people being introduced from the different part of the country, of the continent, particularly the West Africa sub-region. And I therefore believe that this is not just another conference where we say it's international like the Americans will say, and yet everybody attending come from the same country. So I can really see that we have people who are responsible for maritime border security from different African countries, particularly West Africa. And I want to acknowledge the our appreciation as a nation for the collaboration with foreign countries like Italy and other countries from different continents. Today, I am not going to be insightful as suggested by the guy who introduced me, because I know next to nothing about maritime border security. I have come here essentially to listen as people involved in policy formulation. We have to listen, to learn, and to unlearn about what is it that we need to do differently at the level of, as a national legislator at the National Assembly, along with my colleague, so that where laws are required, we will understand the context in which those laws have to be made, and where appropriation is required, we'll be able to readily understand why we need to spend more money in certain sectors. That is all I can say. As for the technicalities, the technology you require, the manpower you require, the kind of skill required, I have to confess, I am not very much at home with those. But having confessed my very limited knowledge, I want to share with you my thought on something that some people are pushing for at the moment. There have been conversation in the National Assembly by some persons who thought that we should create a coastal guard. In their opinion, we need a coastal guard to complement what the Immigration Service is doing, what the Navy is doing, and other security agencies. My personal opinion, not the opinion of the National Assembly, is that what we need is to invest, re-equip, fund properly, and train properly existing institutions. I believe that if the Nigerian Navy is given more resources to recruit more officers and men and acquire more equipment, communication gadgets, and all of the things you need to have an effective and efficient naval force, and you spend more money on immigration to deal with their own aspects of border control, and you even spend more money on maritime police, which I got to do when I was governor in Edo State. I believe that re-equipping these existing institutions is to be preferred than setting up a completely new outfit that you spend so much more on overhead and then very little money available for operation. I will cause more trouble by giving such example as we have done before when we exercise traffic division of the Nigeria Police to a whole outfit, which we now call road safety. People of my age try to compare what we see now to what it was when road safety was part and parcel of the traffic division of the Nigeria Police. Having listened to all those who have spoken, I'm better informed about the challenges we face. I'm aware that we do face those challenges. Counterterrorism, a lot of criminality goes on. The more at the political level, national government tries to facilitate movement of people within sub-region with minimum documentation, we also find the unintended consequences of people coming to the country, whether by land, by sea, and so on and so forth. I think of all the challenges we face today in our sub-region, maritime security should be easily one of them. And whatever can be done, I am confident that the Nigerian, those of us in the National Assembly, recognizes that we have no choice but to give a happy hand to ensure those are done. Let me use this opportunity to appreciate our young Minister of Interior. You know, oftentimes people emphasize age. Age is just numbers. But for many observers, we have seen that with a thinker, you know, one who is hungry to find solution, not to join the army of lamentation and, and so on and so forth. You can get a couple of things done differently without even huge additional resources. When I traveled, the last time I traveled, I saw a huge difference at the border, both at the time of departure and when I arrived. I was surprised I could pass a gate without 2-3 people asking me questions, and the passport could communicate with a gadget I can see, and the gate is open, and I can return to Nigeria. And I saw many other people smiling doing that. So it shows what is possible if we agree to keep thinking through better options, to be more efficient, to be more productive, and renewed commitment, not to make excuses, to do our best to safeguard the security of our country. We have a president that is also committed not to business as usual. He recognizes that business as usual would take us out of where we find ourselves. We have to think out of the box, and he would join the army of those who lament what is not working. He prefers to be remembered as one who chooses to make things happen rather than spending time explaining why things are not working. That challenges those of us who are part of his, will I say political family, to do whatever we can do together so that it will be said at the end of the day that a lot of the problems that we are currently experiencing, I would say, and it would be right to say, that they will all disappear, but that we can see a pathway to, finding lasting and sustainable solution to these various security challenges. And I'm sure we are in the hands of a good minister, very active woman. I think the CJ of Customs, you are showing every day that whatever a man can do, CJ of Immigration, I say whatever a man can do, these women do it much, much better and more quietly. And you continue to remain resourceful and drive those innovations. But it's one thing for the minister to initiate broad policies. The translation of those policies by each unit under the interior require the head of those interiors are abreast with the issues and are committed to giving effect to all the policies. So thank you for inviting me, and thank you for making it possible for me to meet so many brothers and sisters from various countries, and of course our cooperative partners from Italy, from other parts of the world. Have a great day too. And like this guy said, I don't know why he ran away. He thought we were going to arrest him for smuggling himself into the place. The CJ of Customs, if you have traveled around the world and you're an African and you've not been to Nigeria, then this is Nigeria. Welcome to Nigeria. Thank you.
Let's kindly offer another round of applause for amiable Chairman of the Senate Committee on Interior. Thank you very much, sir. We've come to the ending part of the addresses. So to round off these remarks, it's my privilege to invite on stage the Honorable Minister of Interior, our very own Action Minister, in the person of Honorable Olubunmi Tunji Ojo. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, ably represented by the Chief of Staff, Mr. Tayo Akimade Ayinde, my own leader, my father in the house, a man I share a very long history with, and a man who God used to initiate my political career. I say this every day, even against powers that be, as at that time. That was when I was running for the House of Reps for the first time. Our own comrade, Adams Aliyu, Eric Oshiomole. My brother, the House Committee Chairman on Interior, Prince Abdullahi Aliyu Ahmed, I welcome you. And, of course, the Inspector General of Police. I'm so happy seeing you here, sir, because the Maritime Police is what a lot of us do not pay a lot of attention to. And the collaboration between NIS and the Maritime Police is very key in terms of achieving what we want to achieve. So, Dr. Kayode Egbetokun, I welcome you specially, sir. And of course, the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Mr. Denny, he just stepped out. And of course, the representative of the Chief of Naval Staff and the Director General, Department of State Security, we welcome you. Thanks for coming. The representative of the DG NEMASA, the MD MPA, and of course the ED Shippers Council, we want to welcome you. The Consul General, Consulate of Italy, here in Lagos, we welcome you to your city. And of course, the Head Border Security Management, United Nations Office for Counterterrorism, UNOCT, we welcome you. All distinguished guests, both from Nigeria and outside of Nigeria, welcome you. And the press, we have to recognize you specially. The press will recognize you. For me, today, and of course, my CGI came in Nanda. Sometimes I ask Nana, maybe you're Nigerian, you're Ghanaian, this is a very important program for me. It's a very important program for the Ministry of Interior. It's a very important program for Nigeria. And the reason being that border security is key to whatever we want to do. I think it was Barack Obama that once said, a safe border is a secured nation. If you cannot secure your border, you can never keep your people safe. If you want the police to have less work to do, if you want our law enforcement agencies to have less work to do, that is to secure your border. If you cannot control the inflow and outflow of people, then there is a problem. And of course, of all the three border areas, the maritime, the air, and of course the land, we know that the most porous and the most technical is obviously the maritime border. And Nigeria, looking at our geographical location in Africa, I say this, it could be an asset, it could be a liability. Because Nigeria is a country, one of the few in the world, that falls within two sub-regions. Nigeria falls within the Sahel and at the same time within the Gulf of Guinea. So, of course, when you look at insecurity from the Sahel down to the Gulf of Guinea, then from the Gulf of Guinea to the Sahel, put lots of pressure on our internal security agencies. And of course, with a population of over 230 million people, that brings a lot of challenges. And beyond that, with a population of over 70% below the age of 40, with over 42% below the age of 15, shows very well that there is an enticer for insecurity and terrorism because of the young population that we boast of in Nigeria. Having said this, it shows that the time to review our border strategic policy is now. And I'm happy that the NIS is already doing that by virtue of what we started today. I always say finding a solution is a factor of three things. It's a factor of answering three questions. Question number one is what we always call the what question. Question number two is the how. Question number three is the when. The what question tells us what we need to do. What's the mandate? What do we need to do? Let's understand the problem, which is what we are doing. After this, we now go to the how, which is the methodology of implementation. How do we implement the resolve, the resolution of this meeting? And of course, the last one is when do we implement it? And for me, that answer is now, because the time to implement the resolutions, it's not tomorrow, the time is now. The Nigeria is so important within the Gulf of Guinea. We all know that for sure. Just as Nigeria is very important within the Sahel. And of course, Nigeria being a gateway country, linking the Sahel to the Gulf of Guinea, being at the middle, poses a huge threat to our national security architecture. Having said that, the president has always challenged us to be innovative, dare to innovate, dare to achieve. You cannot achieve anything if you are not innovative. And he has always told us, Mr. President has always said, this is not the era of business as usual. This is the era of business unusual. It's about it's about being bold, being audacious with decision making. I tell you, securing the maritime space is not going to be cheap. It's not going to be easy. But the question is, can we get it done? Yes, we can get it done. With the right idea, with the right resolution, with the right framework, and with the right mindset, we can get it done. And of course, we're very committed to getting that done. For me, it starts from because it's important when we come for international workshops like this. We understand and appreciate that government is in continuum. But it's important people should understand where we are coming from and where we are. Of course, 2 years ago when Mr. President came on board, we had an NIS that didn't have a data center. So when you do not have a data center, you do not build a credible database, how do you verify? How do you work on even, how will I call it? How do you work on data sequencing? It becomes a problem. But today, I'm happy to tell you, December last year, Mr. President has commissioned one of the biggest, one of the best and most reliable data center we have in Nigeria. That is the foundation of what we're trying to do. Number two thing is to now build a robust database, which I can tell you, to a large extent, we are already doing that and we're reaping the fruit of that. Yeah, it will interest you that a couple of weeks ago, I think within 2 days, a lot of people on Interpol and Red List, were arrested at our airports. So it means these people would have come in. One came from Italy, came from Italy, one came from Ireland, the other one I think from UK, a couple of countries. These people would have come into Nigeria, sneaked in years ago. But now we know that in terms of our air terminals, our air border, that is safe because it's integrated into the central solution. Also, that was not available before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board. We've been able to handle that. Now, we can tell you Nigeria now has an API solution. We never had that. The Advanced Passenger Information System was not available. We're one of the few countries, a country of 230 million people, without an API solution, without the opportunity of our immigration officers being able to pre-profile people coming into Nigeria, not being able to query their background, query their record system, query their antecedents and their travel history. We never had that capacity before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board. But today, I tell you, NIS has that. So if you're coming into Nigeria today, before you come, we know everything about you. We've queried you, we know where you're coming from, and we can tell from that aspect, we are now fulfilling our international obligations to our international bodies by being able to uphold the tenets of UN resolution of the API solution. That we have at the moment. And of course, when we came on board, people think the e-gate is just a means of convenience. No, when we said the e-gate is a means of convenience. It's also a means of enforcement. And I can tell you today, the e-gate we see in our airports, it's not just for the purpose of ease of travel, it's also for the ease of record management. So it is easy for me. Like yesterday, I was invited to the House of Reps for public hearing on the certificate racketeering thing that happened in Benin Republic. And I told them, that happened in 2022. Now, it's a bit more difficult because now every passport, every movement on every passport is in our database. That is the essence of having this. And also, part of what we have also seen, which we have also introduced from the 1st of May, is the automation of our landing and embarkation card and exit card. We have automated that. So when people come into Nigeria, if you're coming into Nigeria now by road, by sea, or by air, you need to fill online. We have your details, and immediately you enter and we scan it. It has a QR code. It initiates a counter which we can now use to manage visa duration and visa overstayers. We have been able to do that. And I tell you, we have deployed portable equipment to our land borders to be able to scan that. So if you come into Nigeria and immigration arrests you, and of course the counter is not activated, it shows that you didn't come through the border, because what we had before was people just stamping passports. Anybody can go to UTC, go to anywhere and manufacture stamp and put it on passport. Because when they say, oh, this is immigration stamp, the question is, how are we sure it was actually stamped by immigration? So we thought that the only way to secure our system is via automation. And I'm very happy with what I've read from this folder today. I'm very happy. We have to look at how to integrate AI solutions into our solution architecture. And of course, to invest more in surveillance. The simple truth is that intelligence gathering is not as cheap as people think. A lot of us, it is what we see as physical infrastructure that we think is costly. But sometimes the service that drives the infrastructure will be more expensive than the infrastructure. That's why once we're talking to our National Assembly people, our leaders in the National Assembly, when police, immigration, customs is talking about cost of intelligence gathering, it takes somebody who really understands what intelligence and surveillance is to appreciate the amount of money that goes into that, because the quality of implementation, actionable implementation, is the quality of the surveillance and intelligence at your disposal. If you do not have that accurate intelligence, regardless of how much you spend on physical infrastructure, it's going to be waste of money. So we also want to appeal to the National Assembly that in our budgeting process, which has to be innovative and which has to be distinct and different from works infrastructure. This is security. Security all over the world has gone beyond the era of corrective measures. Security all over the world has even gone beyond the era of detection. Security all over the world has gone to the era of preemptive and ability to predict before it happens. That's why you have AI. AI looks at sequence, looks at pattern of life and all these things. So these are not cheap things. We hope that the National Assembly will further be able to support us to be able to achieve this. Then in terms of the maritime, we have a large stretch of our maritime border. We know the problems we have at the moment with regards to our land border that spans over 4,047 kilometers. And of course, we are, as a country, we have to look at the countries that we also border. That tells us the reason why we have to also invest in our border security. Because when you look at the Sahel, sometimes I tell people when they say, oh, the Nigerian security architecture, they're doing a great job, because when you have a responsibility of protecting 230 million people and you are bordered from the Sahel, you have Niger, you have the Chad, you have, when you look at Cameroon, we look at, all of them have their own internal issues. And of course, they also come into, the flood into Nigeria. So there's a lot of responsibility on the part of the security agencies. But the good thing is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a president that I said his presidency is based and built on boldness, audacity, and tenacity. That's the truth. You can see it from his actions. He's not this particular government and administration is not one that is built on the quest for popularity, but at the expense of long-term gains. This particular administration is about building strong structure, strong systems upon strong foundation to be able to give us adequate and efficient deliverable for the future. So for me, I want to welcome you to this particular program, and I want you to please engage. I want you to please say your mind, give us ideas, because sometimes the idea that is needed to save an institution can always come from the list of places. Because the outcome of this workshop is going to be key to our border security strategy, which we're reviewing. And from the border security strategy, we'll come out with actionable things that we will need to do. Even from our air border and etc. Immigration years ago used to have aircraft for area surveillance. We used to have that in the past. Today we don't have. These are things that this particular government is looking into. It's a tough one because we are starting from a very tough point. But the good thing is that we have a president that is not discouraged, a president that does not determine his action by the toughness of the decision he needs to make. He's a man that enjoys taking the tough and hard decision because it's about a statesman whose only interest is not just about today, but about the tomorrow of Nigeria. So at this juncture, I want to welcome you. We will make sure that this does not become a talk shop. This will be a workshop. And from the workshop, we will be able to have actionable and implementable outcomes. So I thank you for coming, and I also encourage you to give it your best. And of course, NIS, you know the way we work. You know, it's not about coming to talk. We want to work and be able to create succor to 230 million Nigerians. And we hope we will continue to make Nigeria proud. We will continue to protect our maritime space. And lastly, before I go, I must also congratulate you for being able to bring out and collaborate with the customs, with the police. This is very key. And I think there's an area of collaboration that probably before now we've not really been exploiting well or properly. That is the maritime police. I think it's important because we must come together, share intelligence.
Welcome back from the live telecast. We'll now continue with our regular programs. Stay tuned.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first